If you're in the middle of a big life transition and you just feel like you can't trust yourself, like every decision feels wrong, you're constantly second guessing yourself, and you just want to feel like you again, this video is going to change everything. The fact that you're here, you're watching this video, you're seeking understanding for what you're experiencing, that tells me that your inner wisdom is calling out to you. It might be quiet right now, it might feel scrambled, but it's there. By the end of these 20 minutes, you'll understand exactly why your inner compass got scrambled. And then I'm going to give you 3 specific tools to help you reconnect with yourself and start feeling at home in your body again. I'm a life coach who specializes in nervous system regulation and trauma recovery. Here's what I've learned. When women come to me saying, I just don't feel like myself anymore, most people have already told them it's normal, it'll pass, just give it time. But that advice completely invalidates what is legitimately happening inside of your nervous system. Today, I'm going to break down the real science behind why your gut feelings got so confusing. First, we're going to talk about why transitions disrupt your nervous system. Then, I'm going to explain why your old coping strategies stopped working. And finally, we're going to address the grief piece that nobody talks about, because every single transition, even the good ones, involves loss. So let me guess what's been happening for you. You wake up and everything just feels hard. Decisions that used to be easy now feel impossible. You might find yourself asking everyone else what they think you should do because you can't trust what feels right anymore, or you just can't even tell. Maybe you're scrolling through Instagram and looking for other people's lives, thinking, how does everyone else have this figured out? You feel so confused and stuck and emotional, and it's just not working for you anymore. Listen, there's nothing wrong with you. This is not a character flaw. It is not you being dramatic or weak or broken. This is a completely normal nervous system response to transition. Once you understand what's happening, you can work with it instead of against it. But here's the cost of not understanding this. You get stuck in limbo. You are making decisions from confusion instead of clarity. Your life starts to look more and more like someone else built it. And that, my friend, is not a place that anyone should live. So let's talk about what's actually happening in your nervous system. There are 3 things that are making you feel disconnected from yourself. First is the transition you went through has probably made your window of tolerance much narrower than it normally is. Now, if you're not familiar with this term, your window of tolerance is basically the zone where you feel regulated, where you can think clearly, you can make decisions, you can access your intuition. Think of it this way. Your nervous system is like a house, and consistency and routine are like foundation blocks. When you have regular touch points like your morning coffee routine, your commute, the friend you talk with after work, even just knowing where you're going to sleep each night, these things create safety anchors inside of your nervous system. But when you go through a transition, whether it's a new job or a move or a relationship change, having a baby, whatever that is for you, familiar touch points go away. Because these touch points have become so routine, we might not be aware of what all we lost, that we lost all of these safety cues from throughout the day that we had in place before the transition happened. When your nervous system doesn't feel safe, it signals threat mode. So your brain starts to prioritize trying to keep you alive over accessing the functions that keep you feeling connected and clear-headed. This is why everything feels so much harder and it feels like a struggle to connect to your inner knowing. Second thing that's happening is the coping skills that used to work for you aren't effective in this season. And this is actually not a bad thing. Stay with me for a minute. It's like you've been using a band-aid to cover a cut, and it's worked fine for a while, but now this transition is basically ripped off the band-aid, and you're seeing that underneath there is a deeper wound that needs attention. Your transition is calling you to transform how you show up in the world. The old ways of managing stress, the old ways of making decisions, the old ways of soothing yourself, they were designed for a different version of you, but you're not in that life anymore. This isn't failure, this is progression. Your soul is saying, we need new tools for this chapter. And here's the third piece that most people completely miss. With every transition, even the good ones, comes loss. And there might be some unnamed grief that's holding you back from fully accepting what this season has for you. Let me tell you about when this happened to me. I had my son Elijah, and everything changed overnight. I left my job, we moved into a new house, and I was newly responsible for a human being. I was just in a whirlwind. All of the coping tools that I used to use, like going out for walks alone, having interrupted time to think through my problems, meditating, even just being able to trust that I knew how to handle the problems of my day to day life. None of it worked anymore. My window of tolerance was so thin, and I felt like there was something just wrong with me because I didn't know how to handle the basic tasks in my day to day life. It just felt like I didn't know how to adult. I kept trying to use my old strategies, and then I was frustrated when they weren't working. But this sent me on a journey. I had to learn how to take all that knowledge that was kept in my head, and I had to let it learn how to live in my body as a reality. I knew the logic of what made someone feel safe. I knew why I was doing what I was doing, but I needed to fundamentally shift how I use that information to grow into my new season of life. And that's what transitions do. They force us to integrate the knowledge from our head and move it into our body as wisdom. The grief part was realizing that I had to let go of the person I was before I could become the woman that this new chapter needed me to be. So now that you understand what's happening, let's talk about what you can do about it. I have 3 tools to help you connect to each of the points we just covered. For your narrow window of tolerance, I want to talk about how to rebuild some safety anchors. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to think back to the last time you really felt good in your life, before this transition happened. What were your routines like? What did your mornings look like? What did you do in the evenings? How did you move your body? What made you feel grounded? What kind of foods were you eating? Now, I'm not saying to recreate the exact life that you had before. That's not the point. But I want to prompt you to think about what elements of those routines can you adapt to your current situation? Because those touch points, if you can bring a piece of them into it, it's a really powerful anchor that you can bring into your current situation. Maybe you can't take those long baths anymore, but can you do 10 minutes with your feet in warm water? Or maybe you can't go to your old yoga class, but can you do some stretching in your living room? Maybe you can't take that long morning coffee and journaling routine you used to have, but can you take 5 minutes of mindfulness before the day begins? Just pick 1 or 2 things. After a couple of weeks, and weeks, not days, you'll start to feel more grounded and more connected. Your nervous system will start to relax because it has some predictable touch points that it can grasp onto again. For the second tool, dealing with your old coping skills, I want you to try what I call the stew method. I actually have a whole video on the topic, and I will link that in the description. But here's the basic idea. When you notice that you're trying to help yourself feel better and it's not working, I want you to ask yourself, what are the things that used to work for me? What feeling am I looking to feel? And what do I need now to get there? I really want you to connect to your body and sense what you actually need in this moment, not what you think you should need. Your body has so much wisdom inside of it, but we have to slow down enough to listen to it. The mistake most people make is trying to force old tools to work. So instead, I want you to truly surrender and relax and allow your body to tell you what it needs right now in this season of your life. For the final tool, I want to talk about how to honor your grief. I want you to make a list of everything you lost in this transition. Not just the obvious things, but the subtle ones too. Maybe you started a new job and lost your sense of confidence. Maybe you lost your identity as someone who had it all figured out. Or maybe new demands took away the luxury of spontaneity. Or you lost a certain kind of freedom that you used to have. For each thing on your list, I want you to ask yourself, how did losing this impact me? And then this is the important part. Actually feel whatever comes up. Don't try to fix it or rationalize it or push it away. Just let yourself be with the feeling. Grief that we don't acknowledge gets stuck in our bodies. It keeps us from fully stepping into what is available to us now. When we honor what we've lost, we make space for what is trying to emerge. Don't try to do all these tools at once. That's just going to be overwhelming to your already stretched nervous system. Start with tool number 1, the safety anchors. I want you to pick one routine element from when you felt good and adapt it into your current life. Commit to it for a week, just 1 week, and notice what happens in your body when you have that new consistency built in. You might not feel dramatically different right away, and that's completely normal. But here's what you're doing. You are increasing your awareness of safety in the environment that's available to you relative to your awareness of threat. And so what that is going to do is slowly allow your body to relax and allow your body to disarm that stress response. Also, you're rebuilding trust with yourself, and that takes time. Learning to trust yourself again after a major transition is a form of recovery. You're teaching your body that even though things changed, you can still create safety and connection for yourself. Let me summarize what we covered today. Number 1, life transitions make your window of tolerance narrow, which is why you can't access your intuition the way you used to. Number 2, your old coping skills stopped working because you're being called to up level, not because you're failing. And number 3, there's probably some unresolved grief about what you lost that needs to be honored. I'm really curious, which of these 3 points resonates the most with you? If this helped you, you're definitely going to want to watch my video on the STEW method for body-based decision making. I'll put that link right here. It's going to be a guided practice that you can do to help you connect to your body. Before you go, I want you to remember something. The fact that you're here, you're watching this video, you're seeking understanding for what you're experiencing, that tells me that your inner wisdom is calling out to you. It might be quiet right now. It might feel scrambled, but it's there. You're not broken. You're not failing at life. You are in a transition, and transitions are hard. Your nervous system is doing exactly what nervous systems do, but you have everything you need inside of you to navigate this. Just start with one safety anchor this week, and your future self will thank you.